I've been waiting for you.
Hello everybody, it's BYG Agami back with another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing Episode 9 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS titled The Sought After Enemy. If you guys do want to watch it, I'll link it down below in the description. It's linked to Crunchyroll, not affiliated with them at all. It's just you guys can easily watch it down there in 480p. If you do have the Crunchyroll premium account, you can watch in 1080p. That's the best quality of it. But let's just talk about the episode itself. So episode 9 is really well. I think that they didn't really talk that much about the whole plot and about Revolver's motives. It's a little bit there, how he talks about how this whole internet world, it's a fiction, it's not real, and how he talks about how people should be really much enjoying the real world. I forget what he calls it. It's like the breadth of the real world, which is kind of weird because Ignis even pointed out as well. He's like, this dude's a hacker, yet he hates on the VR world. He calls it fake. So what does that mean about Revolver? Does that mean that there is something that went wrong in terms of the VR world? He really hates it, and he wants Ignis. Well, we don't really know the specifics on why he wants Ignis. He just states that once we get Ignis, everything is going to be okay. And he also states to Yusaku, you don't really know that much. And what I like about Ignis is he sort of like tries to hide it. Even Yusaku doesn't know the full details on Ignis. Well, what's his name does, Revolver. I thought their duel was pretty cool, but since we know that a master duel is going to commence very soon, I was just sort of disregarding this duel, not really taking it into as much consideration as I would have without knowing that a master duel was going to take place, because we all know from this duel was well written. I think I like how essentially Revolver was really chipping away on Yusaku's life points, basically burning down his life points. And then the funny thing is what happens to him, Revolver, is that happens to him. His life points go all the way down to 100, and then Yusaku's life points go all the way down to 400. So that was kind of cool. But we all know that the master duel is really going to be the top when it comes to duel writing, the top when it comes to just everything, I would imagine. And please do note that I'm not hating on speed duels. I just like normal duels much more, and I think that it's a fresh breath air in terms of VRAINS. I mean, we haven't even gotten a real duel since episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and to be quite honest, that duel was literally under 30 seconds. Now we're going to get to see a full proper duel. So I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. One thing I do really appreciate is how they showcased Revolver, because once the speed duel starts, we see how destructive and how basically it looks like complete hell, how Link VRAINS looks, and that's all due to the power of Revolver, and this is most likely due to his hacking abilities. Now, in VR, he's probably god level status, to be quite honest. I mean, the fact that he's able to spawn such a ugly world in terms of just aesthetics, in addition to being able to control the data storm like Yusaku, of course, but on a much grander scale. He honestly does have like some sort of god status in Link VRAINS along with this whole VR world. Now in real life, I would imagine he's just a simple mortal that probably has a decent amount of money. That's the only gain he has towards Yusaku Fujiki, I would imagine. I mean, his plays did look pretty nice when we saw in episode 3. And I did love the whole back-to-back talk that him and Yusaku had. And he also had a little bit of talking with Ignis. And I also loved Ignis in this episode. Now, what I've noticed about Ignis, and this is sort of getting off topic from the episode review itself, but we noticed that Ignis isn't really that bright when it comes to just answering questions or thinking. I mean, Yusaku is much smarter than Ignis to some degree, along with in some things. Like, for example, when it comes to much like human stuff and emotions and such, Ignis isn't really smart, and he's pointed that out many times. And I think that's what they're really trying to give off for VRAINS, is that Ignis is smart in terms of VR and technology. That's very true. I mean, he's able to eat away these programs and just basically destroy them. And also he's able to predict some stuff ahead of time. And he was also able to point out that Blue Angel, well, he wasn't really able to point out, but he just had a hint when Aoi first came to school and talked to Yusaku. And of course she was under the influence of the Knights of Hanoi. That program was inside her head. Ignis was the first one to sort of catch on. He was latching on. He's like, something's wrong. And that's because it came to an AI in terms of, what he's akin to, what he knows. But when it comes much more to the human stuff, where it really depends on if you have emotions or not, that's where Ignis really doesn't shine while Yusaku does. And also the humor was quite there in this episode. I liked how Ignis was talking about how, oh, I can't wait to get my body back. I looked really good when I had my full body. You should see me, Yusaku. And then he also states, actually, never mind, I still look good now, but I look much better when I had my full body. I thought that was really funny. One other thing I really liked and thought was funny is when Ignis pointed out about Revolver that he's contradictive and how he wants to destroy Cyverse, but he uses Cyverse monsters. And then this is what Revolver says, like a G. He's like, he fires back and he's like, you gotta fight poison with poison sometimes. I thought that was really cool. I like the utilization of Emma in this episode, to be quite honest. I really hope that she was like well written in this episode. That's what I wanted to see. And I think in terms of this episode and what they could have done with her, they probably did the best, because initially I thought she was just going to be there with Akira, but they did utilize her pretty well in this episode, which was she was basically used to spy on Yusaku in his duel with the Revolver, and that's why her name is the Ghost Girl, because she's really good at spying on people. And then I like how Kusanagi was able to hack into the feed that Emma was giving off, and that was pretty cool. And she also talks about how if Playmaker wins, then if Playmaker loses, it's going to be boring, but if he wins, it's going to be somewhat fun. And then I think right after that, that's when Revolver activates the Storm Access effect, the skill that he has. And I do like how Ignis pointed out that that's a program that I created, which got me thinking a few theories, and then which I will talk about right after this. But Revolver states to him, don't be so arrogant or something like that, because he was able to, I would say, create the program that Yusaku has, or Ignis created. Or it might be, and this is where my theory comes in, it might be due to Dr. Kogami, because if it is true, Dr. Kogami most likely created Ignis. In addition, he probably gave him the abilities to create those skills, and maybe that's where he got the ability to use Storm Access Revolver. Or, since Revolver has the other AIs in his captivity, maybe he was able to hack into them. Because, I mean, for 5 years, if you have them for 5 years, you're gonna be able to see all their secrets, and maybe he was able to somehow reverse engineer from whatever they have inside of them, their program or whatever, and create Storm Access himself. And also, there's a huge difference in terms of powers and abilities. I'm not talking about dueling, because, let's see, the dueling in this episode in terms of the difference between Yusaku and Revolver is somewhat there, but when it comes to pure out power, it's much different. I mean, we see the abilities that Revolver is able to do, and also Kusanagi points this out. When Revolver creates the data storm, which he uses in this episode, it's not even a storm. It's a freaking wave, for Christ's sakes. It's literally a wave. And then Kusanagi's like, this is much larger than Yusaku's himself. And I like that. And it was really cool how he just went in there, like surfed on the wave. Honestly, it wasn't even them using the data storm anymore. It was them literally on surfboards on a virtual reality freaking wave or something like that. One thing I really disliked in this episode was the utilization of Akira's Aizen. And I'm going to be a little bit fair, because what are they going to do? You know, like, what are they going to do in this 20-minute episode to give screen time to Akira's Aizen? And it does make sense for him to look after his sister, because, you know, she's basically in a coma. But I would have liked if he had some sort of screen time just talking to Emma a little bit, trying to plot some schemes, you know, trying to create essentially like a backup plan in case Yusaku loses. Because, I mean, if I was in his scenario and saw the abilities that Revolver was able to do, then I would be pretty scared as well. And I would think of backup plans. And I think that's about it. I mean, we got to see Naoki Shima, but he really was just there. He was just there because they weren't able to get the camera feeds due to Revolver's abilities. And also, one other thing I do want to mention is that Fan Theory Friday is still in effect. So please, guys, comment your theories down below. I'm going to be picking out a few comments in this comment section along with past videos. I actually already got one comment for this week's video. I have yet to record it. I'm probably going to record it day of Friday, or probably late night of the Thursday, or tomorrow essentially. So please do leave your guys' theories down below. And also, yeah, I forgot to mention, Topologic Bomber Dragon. I don't really like the design. I think it's a little bit too thick for my liking. But I thought the animation was pretty cool and how powerful Topologic Bomber Dragon was. And I think that how they sort of played this episode out in terms of showing the difference between the skill set along with the abilities for Revolver and Yusaku's pretty well. I, of course, wanted Revolver to have a little bit of an advantage in terms of abilities and skills, simply because, not because he's my favorite character in VRAINS, right? I'm telling you guys that right now. That's not the reason why. But because of what I've said in past videos before, there's just an age gap in between them. We know there's like some sort of a 5-year age gap, because 5 years ago Yusaku was young, because he's what? He's a freshman in high school, I'm pretty sure, and that means he's 16 years old basically. And you'd imagine that Revolver is a little bit older, and also he has the AIs in captivity. He has Dr. Kogami, so he has more assets in his favor, while Yusaku has, let's see, Kusanagi, Ignis, which is a really good asset. I mean, Kusanagi and Ignis are probably the best assets Yusaku has, and also he has Soul Technology on his side, but at least in this point of the series. But that's basically the point I'm trying to get across. However, guys, please do comment your theories down below for Fan Theory Friday. If there's anything I missed out that you guys saw in the show that I think that you guys thought I should have talked about, leave it down in the comment section so the viewers can see for themselves. And also stay tuned for tomorrow, because I'm probably going to be breaking down the preview for episode 10. I think I've noticed some things that I want to discuss about. So thank you guys for watching, and see you guys later.